Today's conversation is all about the enterprise contact center. And chances are, if you're an enterprise IT leader, you're dealing with pains from migraines that come with managing those contact center communications. There's good news though, you're not alone. And in today's session, we're going to show you exactly how the Global 2000 enterprises are uniting their telephony, their caller authentication platforms, and their CCaaS, all in the name of embracing complexity on their way to the cloud. I hope you'll stick around as we share 4 common migraines that all enterprise IT leaders are facing today. We're going to have an in-depth look at the contact center of yesterday and the challenges that they face on the way to the cloud. And perhaps most importantly, we're going to talk about how you can unite your telephony, your caller authentication tools, and your CCaaS platform to help you future-proof your stack for a cloud-ready tomorrow. As a product marketer, I'm constantly learning from and engaging with our customers and industry experts. And so the first of these 4 migraines really arises out of a shift toward globalization for large enterprises. What they're telling us is things like, we need to consolidate vendors. We're managing more than 10 vendors across multiple geographies all over the globe, and it's just too much. Or we've had a rapid infusion of capital that's led to increased mergers and acquisitions. And each one of those comes with its own systems, its own vendors, and its own headaches. Or we've merged with or acquired another company and we need to align contact center operations and business communications across multiple brands. Can you help us do that? We've also heard the process of consolidation is just messy. It's difficult. Complexity is exponential. Or we're getting pressure to meet cost reduction targets from leadership. What can you help us do about that? The next migraine is all about reliability and resiliency. And there's just been this general hesitation on the way to the cloud, primarily because of this perceived risk of lacking reliability once you're in the cloud. You may not control it, and therefore you don't control the reliability. Something else we've heard is business continuity is a company-wide priority, and we're sensitive to the cloud stability and resilience that exists there. We know contact centers are such an integral part of our customer experience, which makes them critical revenue impacting services that just can't go down. And we've heard things like we've experienced disruptions with our contact center traffic where it came to a grinding halt. Maybe we were single threaded with a carrier and their network went down. The stability of the cloud, it's in question both internally and externally, and they're trying to figure out how do I make sense of this since we're getting the pressure to move to the cloud. The third migraine or reason why you might be reaching for the migraine pill bottle, it's that idea of interoperability. Contact centers, they just need simpler ways to make it all interoperate in the cloud. And there's kind of this idea, 2 modes of thinking. Go with these best in breed tools that requires interoperability between the tool and the platform itself, versus more of this all-in-one approach where you have to find a CCaaS that offers the full suite. And a lot of these decisions are being driven by the customer experience itself. How can we make that more efficient? The 4th common migraine revolves around how you're maturing within the cloud. We're hearing things like, we're under pressure to move. And we all know the move to the cloud, it's not optional. Those pressures, they're coming from different angles, from management, from business objectives, from user experience. But we also understand the virtues of being in the cloud. We know what it's going to take to undergo digital transformation, and we know the value we're going to get out of that. Things like scalability or centralized management, flexibility, work remote connectivity, as well as an ease of budgeting. Where we arrive at is we have these competing internal dynamics of digital transformation. And so there's a disconnect between the expectations or the pressures you're experiencing and the execution of actually figuring out how do I make it happen. So the expectation as we look at that, that's things like lowering costs, moving from a CapEx model to an OpEx model, thinking about delivering a better customer experience, future-proofing your solution as a whole, lots of pressure around making sure that you're setting yourselves up for the strategic future of your enterprise. And you've got to make sure that you have it under control. You're making it a super seamless experience for your enterprise from start to finish. Now we look at the execution side of this, right? Taking those expectations and delivering and executing on them. And there's a lot of challenges around consolidation with mergers and acquisitions, globalization, moving your company global, providing a remote workforce management or remote agent experience, dealing with the cloud reliability as well as cybersecurity concerns, and making sure that all of this ends up working together. Even the most successful enterprises today, they face a barrage of obstacles as they undergo digital transformation. That's why migrations sound so synonymous with migraines. We know it's table stakes, we know it's complicated, and it can be really painful. There's lots of landmines along the way, and you need somebody in your court who can help you see through the field ahead and help you get to where you're going. So your contact center architecture probably looks a little bit something like this. We're not going to focus in and compare one to one here, but I think the similarities across the board should be able to mirror back into your own setup. As you think about lifting things into the cloud, you really need to make sure that everything is interoperable. It's not as easy as just lifting and shifting to your CCaaS platform, but each one of these components, including all of these best in breed software as a service tools that you've integrated into your contact center, just like a voice authentication software, you've got to make sure that all of that can lift and work within the cloud. Traditionally, though, the contact centers that we talk to have relied on their carrier for a pretty minimal or more traditional role, delivering SIP. That's because the carriers are known for doing that part pretty well. But it's also a really limiting view for what the power of a modern carrier could bring to your organization. So much more than just delivering SIP. And now I want to remind us back to the execution versus expectation piece. It is so complex. The powers that be say to move to the cloud, but when you actually break it down, what does that mean you actually have to do? It often means that you are stuck doing it yourself. So I want to get practical today and help show a few ways that you can unite your telephony, your caller authentication, and your CCaaS platform so that you're ready for your cloud future. So why are enterprises looking to bring their own carrier in their move to the cloud? Well, the most large, complex enterprises that we talk to today are demanding to bring their own carrier because they know how to buy telecom. They've been doing it for a while. They know they'll save money, and they want direct access to the network owner for support. Our take is that enterprises need more than what they're used to. It's not enough just to stick with their legacy or existing carrier on the way to the cloud. And so by considering unbundling telephony from the actual platforms and coming direct to bandwidth, you can truly avoid some of those migraines while you're gaining resiliency, interoperability, and flexibility in the cloud. So we've created a solution that helps unite 3 different platforms: Pindrop, Bandwidth, and Genesys Cloud CX. So I want to spend just a minute to orient you on this view. At the center of this view, you see Bandwidth's core network. That's where the call is coming in, and we are sending the media and the call onto the other 2 platforms themselves, as you see on the left-hand side of this screen. So let's walk through the call flow at a really high level. So in the US, we're talking specifically about toll-free for our contact center solutions. And we've got built-in resiliency throughout. You see 5 different carriers, including Bandwidth, for toll-free at the middle in our core network. And that call is coming in through the cellular carrier of somebody who picks up the phone and calls your contact center number. That call gets sent to Bandwidth. Bandwidth distributes that call to one of our 5 carriers. That call then hits our core network. And from there, we're sending the media out to Pindrop, sending the information that they need to provide their scoring and their voice authentication tool, as well as sending that media on to your CCaaS platform so that the agents that are working for your enterprise can pick up the phone and start helping customers out. Speaking of resiliency, what if a specific carrier or LATA has an issue? We can essentially switch that carrier out and ensure that your mission critical traffic keeps flowing. Since our core network is at the center of this equation and we pass that call data on to Pindrop and Genesys, nothing's impacted. We just route around the carrier that's experiencing issues. If you were having to do this yourself, you were dealing with multiple vendors, or even in a worst case scenario, you're just single threaded to one of those carriers and they have an issue, that's going to mean real problems for you and a lack of resiliency and reliability. But as we know, it's more than just Pindrop and Genesys and Bandwidth, right? Your stack has more than that. You're making moves to the cloud because you want that flexibility to be able to bring in other best in breed tools across all areas of your contact center. You're considering a secure credit card entry tool for PCI compliant applications. You're thinking through customer sentiment. How do I bring in natural language processing engines or call containment with more of an AI driven IVR? You want to gauge customer satisfaction, and at the end of the day, you want to provide survey tools that help fuel your customer experience. So as you're building out your composable enterprise contact center, you want to make sure that you've got the right partner to help you get there and future-proof your communications. We replicate this type of model where bandwidth is the centralized source for making sure that your traffic continues to flow in a resilient and a reliable way. I want to share a story about a Fortune 500 insurance company that we started working with as they were moving to the cloud for their contact center communications. As part of their digital transformation, they were lifting over 3,000 agents to the cloud, and they had some serious requirements. They needed to integrate a best-in-breed third-party authentication tool, that's Pindrop, on their way to the cloud. They had concerns over resiliency and reliability in the cloud, as we've kind of been talking today. They were looking for a solution that helped bring it all together. They wanted somebody who was just easy to work with, that could help them with their migration, providing migration expertise through things like software-controlled porting. They wanted that resiliency factor, so they were looking for somebody with a multi-carrier toll-free redundancy in the US market, and they needed to have tight collaboration amongst all three of these partners, Genesys, Pindrop, and Bandwidth. And they found it in our solution with Duet for Genesys and an integration with Pindrop, all centralized with Bandwidth's platform. So just as we worked with this Fortune 500 insurance company to take their best-in-breed voice authentication tool in Pindrop, their chosen best-in-breed CCaaS solution in Genesys, and a best-in-breed multi-carrier redundant solution for toll-free voice and a voice all-IP core network. We bring all of that together in our solution here for the enterprise contact center. We want to help you uncover more ROI this year and in 2022 and beyond as you evolve your contact center for the future. Thank you.